All right, hello, Benjamin. We are looking at Lesson 1. Welcome to The Art of Seeing. It's great to have you here in class. And we have here a photo with texture, line, and color. In retrospect, I wish I had noticed and eliminated the dark shadow. I don't know. I assume you're talking about this shadow, and that is not bothering me. From a texture and from the standpoint of the majors, this is fantastic. I love that we have this arrangement, obviously, which is not a bad thing at all. We love doing that, as you know. And but I love that we have this soft nature against this hard wood. And the wood, while natural, has been obviously adjusted by man into a shape that could be made into a deck or something like that, or a walkway. So fantastic job with that. I love these colors and the contrast here. I like that you have some balance here between this guy and this guy. Let me take this into Photoshop here. What I do wish we had is, if you look at this, oops, I've got the patch tool. That's right. And let me clear the aspect ratio here. If you look at this from a crop perspective, when I bring up the crop tool, you can see that it brings up those lines dividing this in half. We've got the vertical line and the horizontal line, and so the central point is pretty close to being right here, which means for the most part the top half of this doesn't have a lot of interest in it. As far as all of our interest as far as being viewers is basically down here in the lower half, and we can balance this out with the rule of thirds. So if we bring in this up the crop tool, you can see that it brings up rule of thirds. You can see the lines over there on the left, and I'm pointing at my screen, which I'm sure helps you a lot, but I can't let go with my mouse. But they're a little hard to see over the wood. But we got the rule of thirds, and where we can balance out our composition. So I'm going to put the top third line right across that line, and then if you look, then this works out great, because we've got these flowers in the upper left third, and then the other flower just happens to follow in the lower right third. So you pretty much balance this out pretty well. You just left a little extra room at the top, and it looks like it might have been a crop in the first place, since it's not maintaining the aspect ratio that came out of camera. So now we balance this composition out, and the frame is filled up a little bit more, and it's balanced out more, so that we spend all of our time here within this area where all of the interest is, and leave out that top area. And now onto this line and pattern. This is the Liberty Bell at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia that rings and illuminates when a Philly hits a home run. I actually know this and have been there. Not when this lights up. But no one hit one that day, which that was my experience. But I was intrigued by the lines and patterns nonetheless, especially the lines. And I completely agree with that. There's some fantastic lines here, and I like that you have the cityscape in the background. I've actually done a couple of workshops in Philadelphia, and one of them we did some shots here. But we are looking at some great lines, like you said, some great patterns, some great color. But in the end, because this is a logo and a picture of something that is so recognizable, and it's such just something, an icon with the Liberty Bell, especially for people who reside here in the USA, this is instantly, we just think Liberty Bell. And unfortunately, when that happens, the majors are almost unnoticeable, because this becomes only about the Liberty Bell. So it's a great job spotting lines and pattern and all of that in here, but it doesn't come across as the thing that the shot is about when we have something competing so much for attention in our brains. And as viewers, when we look at this, we just instantly go to something. The same thing goes with car logos and things like that. We've had people in the classes shoot the front grille of cars, and there's a lot of lines and some interesting patterns in those, but if there's a Chevy emblem included, everyone just remembers like whether or not their dad was a Ford or a Chevy guy when they were growing up, and immediately is just in that place in their head, and lines and pattern and color fall into a very distant second place. So good job spotting it, but you get that competing attention there. And now here, this is a typical Christmas scene at night, but I shot it using Brian's twist the body technique, as he explains his Adorama TV podcast. Absolutely, and this is fantastic. So this is a great example of making something all about the majors. This is all about lines. This is all about pattern. It's all about color. And these were LED lights. Did you mention that? No, but they're LED lights, and you can tell because LED lights pulse. And that's why you're getting these dot, 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 dot. Incandescent, the old style Christmas lights stay illuminated all the time, but the new LED ones pulse, and that can be really interesting, or it can be really frustrating, because sometimes if you shoot a Christmas tree at higher shutter speeds, half the lights will appear to be out, and it's just because you're catching those pulses at just the right time. But beautiful job here making this all about the majors and just full of motion and color and lines and the patterns formed by that repeating pulsing of the LEDs. Great job. Around here we call that a perfect picture. We'll see you next week for lesson 2.